was in a place where I just had lost hope. I'm like, you know what, Lord, if it was just for me to be single, just tell me.
You had good reason. You had good reason to give up hope. You and I have been really good friends. Oh yeah.
Keep it lit.
So yeah, I'm gonna keep it lit. We live intentionally and transparently. So Kelli was one of those people that I've always said deserved a good man. And she was just a good, solid friend that I was just like, she is such a great person. Yeah. I was like, but your picker is extremely off. I said, you go pick the worst person you can pick, then try to make them the best person, and then you losing yourself and breaking yourself in the process of trying to heal them. And then you find yourself broken, empty-handed, because they went on. You've healed them enough to go find somebody else. So what did you learn from that situation? When your last situation that you went through, you thought that this was something that could be promising. What did you think about when you met him? What was that process mentally? Because as you're being healed from the past situation and God is bringing you something new, you can get triggered from past stuff and all that. So how did you cope with allowing yourself to open up to receive Isiah?
He was very patient. And I told him from the very beginning that I felt like, and I say it all the time, that he's the reflection of God's love for me.
I'm Laterra Whitfield, and welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast.
Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. I'm your host, Laterra Whitfield. Listen, thank y'all so much for supporting the podcast, but do you have commitment issues? Stop what you're doing, hit that subscription button, stop shacking up with us, and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified on upcoming episodes. Man, y'all been rocking with us. I see the channel growing. I'm getting all your feedback, your comments. You're finding a lot of value in this podcast, and that blesses me tremendously. Well, this episode is going to be powerful. I invited my friends on the podcast. Listen, without further ado, welcome my homie, Isiah Williams, and my homegirl, Kelli Marie. What's up, y'all?
What's up?
Man, I've been trying to get y'all in here for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Yeah, because you way out there in Florida. And so, you just got off the plane. So thank you so much fresh off the plane.
Fresh off, 14 hours.
Literally.
Yeah. The plane's been counseling and doing all kind of stuff. Shout out to American.
Shout down to American.
Yeah, shout down to American for y'all cancellations. But listen, man, y'all met in a unique way.
We did.
And so we're gonna call this episode IG Love.
IG Love.
IG Love, man. A lot of people wonder, can you actually find love on social media networks? And y'all have a powerful testimony. So tell us, how did y'all meet, Kelli?
That's you.
I normally let him tell the story, and then I correct him when he leaves.
Well, go ahead then. Go ahead. I don't want to mess up y'all flow. Isiah, what happened? Go ahead. What happened?
So this is what happened. So I just moved to, at the time, Florida. Right? It was October 1st. I only had been there 3 weeks by the time I met Kelli. But Kelli and I used to talk all the time on IG, right?
Okay.
Just over the story, right? Over the IG story.
You just commenting on it.
Just comment here and there. No flex and no finesse. No trying to pull up, none of that. We just kept it cool. But this particular day, I can't remember what it was we were talking about. But I was on the way to a young adult event at the church. My first one there. And at this point, I just started sending audio messages, which I had never done that before with her. And then she sent me one back. I'm like, dang, you know how it is. You hear that voice, she be like, she sound like she bad.
Sound like she fine.
She fine. So I had to go back in the story and be like, okay, yeah, she look bad. So I was like, yo, I got a car. We can chop it up later. We were just talking. So I left, went to the event, put the phone in my pocket. Got to the event, but I had still my AirPod in my ear. So I'm sitting at the table just like we are, talking to somebody I never met before, introducing myself, and I hear something say hello. And I'm like,
Jesus, is that you?
Who?
Jesus.
Who? You know what I'm saying? Hello? And I'm like, damn, I'm tripping. So I'm like, hello? So I reached in my pocket, got my phone, and here she is on the other end of my phone, FaceTime.
In all my glory.
In all her glory.
With the scarf on. Come on.
It was a Saturday, okay? Listen.
So I said, how you get on my phone?
I said, you called me. What you mean?
She said, you called me. She said the first time it was all black, so apparently my phone called twice. Man, listen. The moment I got on the phone with her, I stepped out of the event. And I was on the phone for like 25 minutes. I just started telling her my whole life.
Literally.
Didn't I?
You did.
My daddy was in prison when I was 3. He was gone 26 years. And you know, look, you know, they teach you, like, sometimes, one of my mentors, you tell me, some people you meet, you hold it like, if your hands are like this, he said, trust it. Some people you meet, your hands open like this.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things, when I saw her, I was like, I need to tell her everything. I drank when I was 5. And literally, since that day, we've talked every day.
Yeah.
So Kelli, how did it feel for him to tell you? Did you feel like he was oversharing? Or did you feel that connection as well?
No, I did feel the connection, but I was so guarded.
Yeah.
So I just was kind of like, we'll see if it's going to be consistent or not. But I mean, I was listening. I was like, okay, I don't think he's lying about anything, because
the stuff he's telling ain't no reason to tell the truth about her. She ain't gonna lie.
But yeah, so he's like, can I call you tonight? I'm like, sure. So he sent me his number, and I texted him, and
You got to tell him you want hold for you. Anything I was going to call you, he was like, whatever.
I was just like, if he call, he call. If he doesn't, he doesn't. For one thing, I didn't do long distance anything.
Yeah.
But I wasn't looking for anything. I mean, I recognized he was fine, but it wasn't.
How'd you recognize on the video call, or did you go start looking at all the pictures and seeing if they add all up, if it was consistent?
Well, like he said, like, we have been following each other, so I've seen them. So just like every day when you see people, you recognize attractive people, but you don't, you just keep it moving. So that's kind of how it was. And then we talked that night forever, and then we talked the next night, and then we talked the next night, and then maybe like 2 weeks later, I think he flew here, and that's when we met in person.
So hold on. So what made you decide to fly down 2 weeks?
I was already scheduled to be in Dallas to shoot some content.
Well, Houston.
Okay.
And then it got rerouted to Dallas. You're a great storyteller. It got rerouted to Dallas. So I was like, wait, you live in Dallas?
Mm-hmm.
So I shot at that point, you picked me up from the airport. Mm-hmm. So I'm flying in, and in my mind, I'm like, I can't believe I got a strange. Well, she might do something to me. Women do crazy stuff.
They sure do.
You watch Lifetime long enough, you see they take people.
Yeah.
I said, for real. Man, I can't believe she picked me. I never met her before. This, that, and the third. It was a lot of emotion. And when she picked me up, it was like automatic. Like the energy was right. It was good. So I did the content that night, and she picked me up from there, and then we went out on our.
Was that I guess that's our first day.
First day.
Mm-hmm. We did.
So how'd you feel when you saw him face to face? Well, going to go pick him up, were you nervous?
I was unbelievably comfortable.
Oh, you was.
Mm-hmm.
So you wasn't nervous
driving up there? We spent a lot of time like talking.
Okay.
So FaceTime did wonders. I mean, so we had maybe 2 weeks or so like FaceTiming every day for hours. But yeah, maybe pulling up to the airport is like, is this really happening? And then it's like, and then you don't know, you see them on FaceTime and IG, but you still don't know if it's going to be the same, like if they're going to look the same, is the energy going to be the same? But what was important to me is that we can have conversation.
Good.
So I knew that there was that element of it. So I'm like, at least we can talk if nothing else. And so I seen him walking out. I said, okay, I might can do this. Hold on.
9'3", standing 9'3". Right. So what'd you think when you saw him walking up as tall as he was?
That was different for me. I'm in Texas and I don't know what it is. I guess everyone's like 5'7". But that's never been a huge thing for me. But it was nice. I will admit, definitely it was nice. But so we went out that night and we just walked downtown and talked some more. And like I said, I was very comfortable. I think we were holding hands and everything. And he was like, are you like this with everybody?
That's the first thing. Yeah.
I said, hold up. I said, wait. I said, you do this with everybody? Because you walking down and you just feel that accidental brush. And she hit me with one of these.
I don't know.
I said, what? You like, you scared me half to death. But I said, I knew I was in.
He said, you do this with everybody.
I am a very affectionate person, but I just felt really comfortable, and I didn't even realize it. Now looking back, I'm like, Jesus Christ, Kelli, that was your first time.
You talk about it.
I feel like that was my first time meeting this man, but it didn't feel like it.
You said something key at the beginning of this conversation. You said you were very guarded when y'all first started communicating.
Yes.
What happened? Why was these guards up?
Well, I am a divorcee of 9 years. So, you date during that time. And so, yeah, I've just been disappointed a lot. And during that time, I was going through counseling, my own personal therapy. And just trying to figure, I'm like, listen, Kelli, you're the common denominator here. So let's start looking at ourselves here and make some better decisions. And so I just recognized that I didn't have any boundaries. I feel like I was attracting takers. I'm a giver. And so, and it's not a problem. But when you're unhealthy, it's like you're just open to anything. And so, like with him, so now he always says I call him my guinea pig. He wasn't my guinea pig, but everything that I was learning in counseling, I was like, "Ooh, this is a great opportunity to put into play what I'm learning." Even about myself and things like that. So that's why I didn't really know if it was going to go anywhere, but I just thought it would be good practice to put into play.
What did you say? You said, "Well, if this doesn't go anywhere, at least it was great practice." That's what you told me.
That's not.
That's what she said.
Baby,
that's what she said.
That's not what I said. What I told him was, I said, if this doesn't go anywhere, I am still grateful that we met because he had renewed my faith that someone like him existed.
That sounds a whole lot better, Isaiah.
That is what I said.
I mean, you did.
You be embellishing.
That sounded a whole lot better. You talking about renewed my faith.
It was the truth because I was in a place where I just had lost hope. I'm like, you know what, Lord, if it was just for me to be single, just tell me. You had
good reason. You had good reason to give up hope. You and I have been really good friends.
Now he about to
Oh yeah.
Keep it lit.
So yeah, I'm gonna keep it lit. We live intentionally and transparently. So Kelli was one of those people that I've always said deserved a good man. And she was just a good, solid friend that I was just like, she is such a great person. Yeah. I was like, but your picker is extremely off. I said, you go pick the worst person you can pick, then try to make them the best person. And then you losing yourself and breaking yourself in the process of trying to heal them. And then you find yourself broken, empty-handed, because they went on. You've healed them enough to go find somebody else. And I was like, it's this codependency thing that keeps happening. And I was like, after coming out that last relationship she was involved in, I was like, you can't do this again. I like, this is terrible. This guy was extremely terrible. You ain't got to say it, I'll say it. Extremely terrible.
Yeah.
And it's one of those situations where you go, Kelli, why do you keep doing this? Like, what is this? Yeah. And certain people like that, and Kelli is a straight up empath. And so being an empath, you will find people that are bloodsuckers. They will suck your energy and they will suck your kindness, suck your nurturing spirit, suck your love out to build them up. And like she said, just a straight up taker. So what did you learn from that situation? When your last situation that you went through, you thought that this was something that could be promising. What did you think about when you met him? What was that process mentally? Because as you're being healed from the past situation and God is bringing you something new, you can get triggered from past stuff and all that. So how did you cope with allowing yourself to open up to receive Isiah?
He was very patient. And I told him from the very beginning that I felt like, and I say it all the time, that he's the reflection of God's love for me. And so when I came into that.
It don't get no better than that. She said you are the reflection of God's love.
Right there.
There it is. There it is.
For me,
yes.
And so you think about God's love and how it's freely given, I feel like I didn't have to earn it, or anything. So we weren't on this merit system, but he just, I don't know, it was sacrificial, like some of the things that he would do. And I'm like, why are you doing certain things? And I made up in my mind, like, don't you do nothing, don't you buy him nothing, don't do this. Cause I was buying, you know me. But anyway, I'm like, don't do anything. And I hate that he had to get that side of it, but it was just the patience. And then I think we had one conversation, you're like, I'm showing you everything. I don't understand. What's the problem? Like, I'm doing this, I'm doing it. And I'm like, well, people can give you your time. People can do this. And that don't mean that they're,
That's good.
But he not only showed me through action, but it was verbal affirmation. It was so many different things. And then I had a dream. And in my dream, God told me that he's not only good for me, good to me, but he's good for me as well. And so I started letting the guards down.
God shows up with you in dreams a lot, and we've had conversations about dreams. Isiah, how did you feel when you're giving your best and she seems to be kind of like apprehensive about receiving it or not reciprocating that which you are given?
You know, I at points it was challenging because you never know the full story.
Yes.
Or the full why.
Yeah.
But I think the same way I look at it in my walk with the Lord, and as I shared this before, it's like you do it from something, right? Like, so if I was loving her for something, then that would make me offended. That would make me upset, impatient, all of those things. But because I was doing it from a place of love, right? I was just... Whenever she didn't respond in a certain way, that posture or that place in my heart was like, you didn't do it for that. You're not doing it for her to accept. You just doing it to show her what this feels like, how much. And for me, it was good for me because I had an opportunity to exercise a part of me that I had never been able to do before.
Talk about it. See, men, we don't have an opportunity to talk about that a lot because we put these walls and these barriers up in front of our heart to allow ourselves to love on a deeper level. What do you mean by that, Isiah? What happened?
I think, especially in this relationship, for me, is that, or in relationships past, or when anybody has walked through something, you feel like even if you try to do something, maybe you get cut down, or maybe it's not good enough, or maybe it's too critiqued, or whatever the case may be. But in this, I felt like it was a blank canvas.
Yes.
And I wanted to.
You wanted to.
Like, I wanted to just pop up. Not to say and catch you in doing, but I just want to pop up. I just want to see you. And when, you know, a lot of times dudes say, well, I ain't really romantic. I say that for years. I'll be 41. I've been saying all my life, right? Because people say, man, you ain't romantic. I'll be like, well, dang, I ain't romantic. But then it's like you never give an opportunity because there's always a demand on you.
Yeah.
You need to do this. You need to do that. And that made me say, I don't want to do it. You know
you start rebelling against it?
Yeah, like you want. So in this case, I'm like, because it's so open, I can stretch those muscles. So I got an opportunity. Now use that word. I got an opportunity to love her from a place of like, of being whole at the same time, saying, look, I might not get this right, but I'm gonna just send you some flowers and see. Because it was for her, but it was for me too.
Your practice.
It was my practice.
So y'all both was practicing.
Yeah,
you was over here exercising the muscle too that you have never done, and she's pulling back saying, I always do this so much in relationships, so let me pull this off, and now I'm going through counseling and therapy. They're teaching me how to put healthy boundaries up. So you're all practicing, you're both practicing with each other, and y'all are working the deficiencies that y'all both have, and it's becoming y'all strength.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's powerful. That's powerful. So you said you wanted to do that. What was it? What about Kelli made you want to step outside of your normal self and explore the romance side of you?
You know, kind of, you learn people, you know, to have enough conversation with people. And our relationship was based on conversation only.
Yes.
Right? So it wasn't that I was getting intel. I just think for me being a man of faith, in conjunction with me kind of being locked in with her, I was just knowing like, she need this and I need this too. Right? Because when you hear a person say, well, I'm always doing this, I'm always doing that, I'm like, perfect. Because I never got to do that and I never got to do that. Let's see how this works. And the more that happened, I can remember a couple of times she was just crying like, why are you? That's some Reese's Pieces.
I did. The first time.
Hold on. What happened, Kelli? What happened, Kelli?
It's a Reese's.
It was gummy bears. The first time he came to Dallas,
There's some gummy bears.
So every time on FaceTime, I was eating gummy bears all the time. So the first time he came to Dallas, he was like, I got you something. And it was gummy bears.
Yeah.
And I said, you paid, I started crying.
Yeah. And I understand it.
He was like, it's gummy bears.
Because
it was more than that.
Tell him what it was. What was it about?
You were paying attention. I never said it. You know, he just saw it when we were talking on the phone or whatever the case. I'm eating my gummy bears, and the fact that he just did it on his own, I'm like, man, you pay attention to me. Like, you know, you consider me. And that's always been a thing for me. And in that past relationship you were talking about, you had Dee Dee and Bruce on here before. Mm-hmm. I went to their wedding, and that was one of the things, and actually him and I went to that wedding together. I tell Didi and Bruce all the time they broke us up because I went to that wedding and I was like, that is not, that is not what I had.
I don't get what in the world.
We joke around about that all the time. But she said something in her vows and she was just saying like how, Bruce considers her all the time. And that was important to me. And I'm looking at him like, you don't ever consider me. Flashback. But no, so it was just that, that he was mindful, he paid attention to small details. So yes, the gummy bears made me cry.
When I say that's so important because and I just hate the way society has promoted this gold diggerish mentality, or the lyrics of get that bread, that head, then leave. That mentality. It's telling people just come run, take what you can get from a dude and run off. And it's creating an unhealthy mentality for even men because they looking like, oh, you just trying to come find out what you can get from me. And then it's training women to be the type that's go find out what you can get from him and take from him. Instead of people being in tune with each other like y'all were to say, I'm gonna get some gummy bears. And the gummy bears is so powerful because it shows that you cared about him. And that he cared about you enough to look at you enough without you saying anything. And I just wish that is promoted more because we're told something different. Go get some Christian Louboutin shoes. You ain't never said nothing about no Christian Louboutin. You say they hurt your feet if you walk in it, but I'm gonna get it because that's what all the women want. And you like, huh? And then he get you some gummy bears. You're like, oh my God. You're like, but I spent all this money on these shoes. You're like, I don't even care about those shoes that hurt my feet.
Listen,
these gummy bears.
Cheaper too.
Yeah, a whole lot cheaper.
A lot cheaper too.
What you about to say, Kel?
But it's valuable even though. But yeah, I've had that before where I was given, lavish gifts per se, but it wasn't me. And I was just like, that's not even, I don't like that.
You know what happens?
I don't like gaudy things.
What happens is that person is serving you the way they served every other woman. And a person can identify that because you say, that's not unique. You don't even listen to me. Like, why are you, it's like you're allergic to shellfish and he takes you to a seafood restaurant. You know what I'm saying? And you like,
makes no sense.
But it's real nice. It's a high end. It's everything. And he's like, man, all the women, the women I go out with, they love this restaurant.
Right.
You like, but I told you I have a shellfish allergy. Why are you taking me here?
Right.
So you always complain about something. I can't do nothing right with you. I'm trying to take you out this nice date. And you like, you don't even listen to me. Like you're not dating me. You're dating all the other girls that you had in the past. And that's so powerful because once you said that you broke down into tears about that and the feel seen. Oh, help me, Holy Spirit. You felt seen in that moment because you never had to say what it was, but he saw you.
And we do the same. And for me, when I first came, I think I had the gummy bears, but you had the
cologne.
You had the honey citrus mint tea in the car.
Yep. Yeah.
From Starbucks. Because I drink that.
That's what you drink.
Yeah. So
you brought that when you picked them up.
Car, I had and I'm like, I ain't cry, right? Inside.
You cried inside.
But I think it's just like, dang.
Yeah.
And I
just some tea.
But it's the small stuff that get you messed up because I've learned, and I think we're learning that the goal is to try to outlove each other.
Oh, that's what I always say. I say it all the time.
If I'm worried about you and you worried about me, there's not an opportunity to be selfish because we both know everybody's covered.
And no one's at a deficit either.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's where we both, have been. Yeah.
So it's a good segue. So you both have experienced being married before. How many years were you married in the past, Isiah?
And man, listen, 18.
18 years married.
18 years.
And how old were you when you got married?
A child. I was 21.
21 years old.
Yeah.
What did you learn about yourself? Oftentimes I ask people, what did you learn about your past marriage? No, I want to ask you, what did you learn about yourself coming out of that 18-year marriage?
Trust yourself. That I could trust myself. Because initially, in the beginning, before we even got started, I went back. I was like, I don't think it's a good idea.
At 21 years old, you thought of that?
I don't really think this is. It's not that you're not a good idea. It's not that you're not for me, I don't think this is a good situation. And, but I learned something about myself that to a degree, and I never even said this to this, but some level you have to be a people pleaser to do something that you really don't want to do, but you feel like it's better for
The other person.
But then you get involved 18 years later, you done grown up in it. Your whole life. You go from a kid and now I'm turning around, I'm grown. You know what I mean? And I learned to trust myself. And to a degree, not in a selfish way, but to put myself first. Because when you're in a situation like that, those are your exploratory years.
Yeah.
Right? So there's no exploring in those years while you're married. Because for me, it was just survival mode. I was so young. I started off, had a job working at Office Maxes, overnight stop.
Wow.
Working, boy.
I had a kid ASAP.
Yeah.
ASAP. Life happened automatically.
Fast.
Real fast. You know, so a lot of that for me was just learning to trust myself, knowing that I do know what's good for myself.
There it is.
You know what I mean? That was important for me.
Kel, what you learned from your past marriage?
I saw, or I found out that I found my identity in the person, in the marriage, things of that nature. And when you do that and it doesn't work out, then you're left like, I have no idea who the heck I am. You know, depression can creep in. That is what happened.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of different things. I also learned that I didn't even really know who I was. And I guess that goes back to the identity piece too. But sometimes people recognize who you are before you do. And so I would put myself on the back burner all the time, you know, in that situation, which is another reason why I think I would say the Lord allowed me to be single for so long. But
so long, you say so long, 9 years. You feel like that was a long time?
I did, child. Listen, because I said, what? Okay, now, Jesus, I know I'm a good one. And my child, listen, it'd be your own kids. She would always say, especially when she was little, Mama, you're so pretty. I don't know why. Why don't you have a husband? Why don't I said, listen, okay. And what we did was we have a journal, and I said, oh, come on. I said, what would you like in a bonus, Dad? I said, whatever, because I was believing God for a husband.
And she was believing?
She was believing God for a bonus dad. Well, I think she just really wanted that for me.
For you,
too,
yeah.
Because she sees family as mom, dad, you know, and I always tell her, no, you and I, we're a family.
Yeah,
but, you know, that is her vision of a family. So anyway, we would sit down and talk about the different characteristics that she wanted. She wanted somebody to take her to school. She wanted somebody to, you know, give her hugs, you know, just little things like that. And so, I mean, I tell people all the time, like, I'm not just trying to gas him. Like, literally, I could not have picked a better person. And my kid absolutely loves him. He's good for her. And she knows, like, you know, he's not here to take the place of dad, but, you know, he's here as additional support. And she calls him, like that's her bonus dad, or will be. Because I'm engaged. I don't know if we talked about that yet, but So, but the question was, what did I learn about myself? So I really didn't come into understanding of certain things until later on in life. So that is what kind of made me do the counseling too, so I can learn things about myself. And that's how I learned about the codependency. I learned about just other aspects of me that weren't bad, but if you're not whole, it's toxic, you know, so it opens doors for that. So so even though it was 9 years, it took me that amount of time to really focus on me. And I will see that I'm spending so much time investing in other people and relationships, and I never put that amount of investment in myself. And the moment that I did, literally, I mean, I don't know.
No, finish that sentence. The minute you did it, what happened?
Well, here he comes.
And that's what I want you to say. The minute that you did, so we talk about the 40 years running around in the wilderness, but it was some lessons that had to be learned.
Yeah.
Because that was supposed to be, what they say that trip was supposed to be like, what? Like, it was like
11 days.
Yeah, 11 days. And they turned the 11-day trip into 40 years because it took them that long to learn that which they were supposed to learn in order to get to their promised land. And so the reality is that what is so dope about what you said, that's why I want to hear, why do you feel like it was so long? Because it's so powerful. I liken relationships a lot to raising kids because as you know, I adopted Armani, and at 18, you think you're supposed to do certain things or have certain privileges. And I'm like, you're not mature enough for it yet. Yeah.
You're ready
well, I mean, every other 18, but you're not every other 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, I see other people, you're not ready yet. And so, and I said, you think as a father, I'm withholding great things from you? You think or am I dishing you out based upon your responsibility and your accountability to the thing that I'm giving you? And he was like, well, I don't know, man. I just don't understand. I said, well, say you don't understand. But as a good father, that's good. I'm going to give good gifts. I love to give good gifts. So if you ain't ready for it, then you ain't ready for it. But only you're going to show me whether enough you're qualified for the gift. And so when we look at marriage, because marriage is such a powerful thing, it's something that God enacted, it's the institution that God blessed and ordained, that we say, I should get married. I should get married. And at 21 years old, you get married, get a divorce. You were how old were you when you got married?
Yeah, the same. I was 21.
21 years old, got married, got divorced. Me, 28 years old, got married, got divorced. And so we say, are we ready for it? We ready, but are we really ready for those powerful vows that we say? Yeah. Till death do us part. How many years were you married?
6.
And you were married how many? 18. And then I was married 2 weeks shy of 10 years.
Wow.
I'm still alive. Yeah. You still alive. So we didn't go to that death do us part. Right. And so we don't understand what that truly means. And so as I approach the marriage vows and understand and unpack what that truly means is for me to challenge myself and say, if my wife turned into a paraplegic, am I able to deal with that through sickness and in health? If I have a wife and or if something happens to me where I'm totally broke and poor for a season, can she handle that? Or would she be like, oh no, when I married you, you're doing a whole lot better. I can't deal with this right now. Like, what does those vows really mean? And what does it look like when it's actually in action? And so when I look at you talking about you went through depression, how bad did it get, Kelli?
It got pretty bad.
It got so bad that I saw a video. I saw a video that you posted. One of the most powerful videos I've seen from a friend. And what was in that video and what was that project? I
was not going to share, but God told me to do the video and he told me to just share my story. And, so in the video, I just went into pieces of the divorce and what it did to me. And when I came home, all his stuff was gone, how that affected me. And we were going through some issues, but I wasn't expecting to come home to, an empty place. So kind of like I was a virgin when I got married. So I think sometimes you think you are entitled because you like, Lord, I did this, I did this,
credit
I did
with
that.
You, Jesus.
So you think you're entitled to not going through anything, So I'm like, this is not my story. This should not be my story, Lord. I always was in church serving, all that stuff. But anyway, so I was coming home one day and actually took him to my neighborhood. I showed him the area. But anyway,
that's good.
I was on, it was difficult to get up every morning. There's a part of that time that I don't even remember. Like my child was so young. I don't remember her taking her first steps. I don't remember her going from baby food to table food because that part of my life was so, traumatic in a sense. But anyway, one particular day I was driving home from work and it was raining. And there's a light pole coming into my subdivision. And I pulled up to the light pole and I sat there and I contemplated if I was going to hit it. And in my mind, it wasn't to kill myself, but it was to hurt myself in some form because in some crazy way, the enemy had fed me thoughts that, well, if you do this, it'll show him that he still loves you. And and somehow it's supposed to fix everything, right? And so, and I'm a Christian, at that time, I'm a mature Christian in my mind, and so it hit me. I'm like, I cannot believe I just had that thought. Like literally, I am sitting at this pole contemplating if I'm about to run into it, just to see what, And I'm crying even harder now at that point. And so I go into my garage and I'm crying. I let, just subconsciously, I let the garage down. I never turned off the car. And I'm just crying and I lay my head on the steering wheel and I start dozing just because of,
those fumes.
All of that. And, long story short, my phone rang one time. I heard it, but it was very faint in my, and then it stopped. And I think she called twice. I'm not sure if it was the same time, but anyway, I heard it again and I answered the phone. It was one of my girlfriends and she's like, I don't know what's going on, but the Holy Spirit told me to call you like right now. And so I'm like, girl, I think you just saved my life. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I was very quiet about what I was going through on a praise team and stuff. I didn't even want to lift my hands on the platform because I don't want people to see I wasn't wearing my ring, and ain't nobody even paying attention, but in my mind, I just thought it was so magnified that everybody knew, what was happening. And so, anyway, so that's what the video was about. And she invited me to a service that Friday, ended up going to the service that night. And it was about maybe 400 or 500 people there. It was a predominantly white setting. Mm-hmm. This is the funny part though. And so, my name's Kelli and I don't meet a lot of Black Kellys, but anyway, so the guy, the pastor that night, he's like, he literally stopped service and he's like, there's someone here by the name of Kelli. And I'm worshiping. And so I'm listening, but I'm like, did this man, I think he just said my name, but I'm not really sure. And so he says it again. I look around and there's no Kellys coming in, like saying, hey, I'm Kelli. Like literally out of all those people, ain't nobody named Kelli but me. So I said, okay. So I like raised my little hand like, yeah, I'm Kelli. And so he prayed for me and he's like, God gave me your name on Wednesday. This was a Friday night. He's like, God gave me your name on Wednesday. He told me to lay hands on you. Well, Wednesday night was the day that I came home and all my ex-husband stuff was gone and all that stuff. And so I thought that was very powerful because that is the moment that I felt the most alone, isolated, nobody understands. And God had literally a complete stranger interceding for me. And I'm like, if that don't tell you about God's love, I don't know what.
I'm trying to tell you.
So he didn't have to say anything else. He didn't even have to say, God's going to restore your marriage, this, and this. That was enough to know that God knew exactly where I was in that moment and that whatever I was going through, he was going to work it for my good. And so anyway, my ministry, Dare to Worship, was birthed out of that. And so, and he just encouraged me in that to allow myself to be a blank canvas. That's the exact words that he said. And to allow God to do what he was doing in my life. And so I didn't know what that meant, but I just knew I had to be obedient.
I just felt something on that. So, you said the pastor said the exact same thing that he said at the beginning of this podcast, where he said that he wanted to just have a blank canvas.
A blank canvas.
Hey, that's crazy. Like I don't think I've ever heard you outside of the video. Just share it, right? So I'm sitting here like, and I'm like, that's because when you listen to a story like that, that's encouraging to whoever will want to hear.
Yeah.
On both sides of the ball, to wait for God to finish a work in a person.
That's good.
Like for me, I'm sitting here like,
you trying to think about where you were in that time? When
bro, I don't even know. Like in my mind, but I'm like, what if I would have rushed into someone else because I got tired of waiting.
Yeah.
But in my waiting, this
was getting birthed and cultivated.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and I think I might have told her. I may have never told her before, but thank you for going through what you went through.
Yeah.
For going through it. Because some people just stop in it and they become something else.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you waiting on somebody, whether it be male or female, you waiting, just wait. Because at the end result
is something great.
Now, it's not a complete finished product, but we getting perfected all the time.
Yeah.
God, if you would have stopped at that pole and you just fell asleep and just went on to be with. But you just kept going.
Wait for something great.
Out for me.
Yeah. You did it for me. Right. Shoot, thank you for being my blessing. That's what he said. Yeah. Wait for something great. How does it make you feel to hear that God was so intentional with you, Isiah, to take you through the process that you were going through at the probably much like exactly when she was going through it, and then to bring these two hearts together? How do you feel?
And man, it's humbling. It is because, I mean, in the same breath, he was doing the same for me.
Slide your microphone closer.
He was doing the same.
Pull it this way.
He was doing the same for her. I mean, for me.
Yeah.
Me. You know what I mean? And I think ultimately, it's kind of like you want to control so many aspects of your life.
Yes.
You know, I don't want to go through this. I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
But it's the what you don't want to deal with that makes you the person that the other person is praying for.
There it is. There it is.
Because you don't know somebody on the other side of the town or state praying for, and I'm like, stop, whatever you asking for, stop, because I'm going through too much. And then you know, and you often ask yourself the question, are you what the other person is praying for? Because everybody like, I'm praying for this, or, I want this, I want this, I want this, but are you what the other person is praying for?
I wish we can get like a calendar and be able to look at, this was this Wednesday on August such and such, and then look what was going on in your life on that exact same day.
And my mom always told me to journal during that time, and I didn't have the energy, and I didn't know what the Lord was doing.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know that D2W was going to be birthed from that. Like, I had no idea, but yeah, she used to tell me, she's like, you need to journal, and I didn't do it, but that would have been good.
Tell people what Dare to Worship is.
So yeah, Dare to Worship was birthed from that space that I was in, and it really was kind of from a selfish reason. My church was having services in a school at the time, so we were always but we had allotted times, you know, for our worship times, and all I wanted to do was just lay before God. That's it, because I felt like I was so broken, you know, and I don't even know who I am, and the only thing that I could think about was just worshiping God. Like, that's who I am in my core, and so I had to go back to that. And that's what the Lord told me to do. And I think what that did for me is really just submitting myself to him and to the plan, not even knowing what the heck he was going to do through it. So the first one, yes, definitely was for me. And then 3 years later, the Lord told me to do it again. And I'm like, why? I'm good now. I don't need to do it again. But this time, that's when he told me to share my story. And then that particular one, I mean, we went from maybe like 500 people the first time to maybe like 1,500 the second time I did it, once I shared my story. And it wasn't like a bashing thing. It was more so like, I can relate. I don't care what kind of pain you've gone through, you know, but God is a healer. He's a restorer. He's a redeemer of time. Like, there's no time wasted or anything like that. And so, and if you just need a touch from Jesus, come on, you know. And so I would do these worship nights, and we've been doing them annually, and each year, you know, they're getting better and better, and people.
So she did worship nights with a bunch of celebrities. She's acting like it's just her and her homegirl sitting around singing
Acoustic
Kumbaya.
guitar.
Yeah, no, she does these big old events. Name some of the people that have been a part of your concert.
Todd Delaney, Ty Tribbett, Chandler Moore, Todd Galbraith, Travis Green, Kiara Sheard.
Talking about we just doing these little events, you know, we just come together and this, you know, we just sing.
But you know what? But, and I understand that we do use names, but I also wanted to build a brand where that people came for the experience, you know, and I wanted that to be it. Now, obviously, there's a drawing factor.
Yeah.
But the cool and the Walls group, I don't want to leave them out.
Yeah, the Walls.
But
yeah, exactly.
Oh, no problem.
Right.
No, but and I love the Walls. But yeah, so it's like I wanted to build it around that experience. And the cool part about it is when those people have come, all the personal agendas go out the window. Like, a lot of times they haven't even done songs from albums or whatever the case is. Like, it is really just what I want, like, to be like an intimate space with Jesus. Now, the last one was a little lit, but I think people needed that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
God knew what we needed, but yeah, that's what.
So yeah, good transition. So you go into let's take about a step back. What month was that Isiah came to Dallas and you brought him by my studio to meet me?
Was that November?
I think
it was either November or December.
I felt like it was around the fall in that time. Why was it important for he and I to meet?
I trust you. And that was a part of my counseling. You know, sometimes we have these we're blinded by love or just, just infatuated with the person, and you tell it like it is. Listen, if y'all know Terrace or not, I don't know, but you don't sugarcoat things, and I want it, especially from a male's perspective. You see through the BS, and you'll tell me. Like
when I talked to Isiah, man, let me tell you something. When I said, "Dang, Kelly, I done fell in love with him too." Both of us done fell in love with him. We all together. That's what I told him. I said, we all together. Yeah. I said, I'm telling you, if this dude do something to you, I swear I'm just not gonna be able to understand it. He's gonna have to see me. We're gonna have to go talk, because I'm not gonna understand it. I can't unpack it in my brain, because I met this dude and I can see through some nonsense, and this dude is a solid dude. Mm-hmm. He's just solid. And I said, Isiah, please don't hurt us. Please don't hurt us.
Plural.
Please don't hurt us. I said, this dude is so cool, because I just talked to him, and
just chopping it up.
And just how real and authentic he was, and he wasn't like, why you got me talking to this dude? I don't even know. I ain't got to answer nothing to this dude. He was just like, let's talk.
She took me to the village. Okay, to the whole village.
Just a few. Just a few. I call them my gatekeepers.
Gatekeepers. So Isiah, why? So how'd you feel when she said that she wanted you to talk to me?
I said, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't feel threatened as a man to be like, why not?
I don't think that's my wiring, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a cocky area. It's just not my wiring. It's like, if I want to be with you, and these are the people that you have entrusted to guard you in some way, let's go.
And he encouraged it. Like, he would, because we were dating during a pandemic. So
he sure would.
All the hanging out and stuff. So it was very few people that I actually brought him to, because then that was our time. Like, when he was here in town, like, we didn't have a lot of time. So I'm like, I had to be selective in a sense of who I would bring him to. But he would always make time and always encourage it. Like, I want to meet your people. So
Isiah, from one man to another man, when I say I love the way you loving my friend, like, I'm trying not to get emotional.
I'm sorry, because we have been through some.
Don't do that. When you get old, I don't have no kind of.
Let me tell you something. I know it. We just get emotional. Let me tell you something, Isiah. When I tell you, I love the way you loving my friend. And when I say she deserves it, she's such a giver. She's such a loving person. God has gifted her with such, just to watch her even pull off Dare to Worship. But I'm going to tell you something why that's so important, is that when I saw you functioning with her in that atmosphere, I saw God. I saw purpose. I saw destiny. I saw the reason why God has joined you two to be together. Yeah. And I looked at this and I said, he's not intimidated by it. You're not sitting up here like, well, all this attention is on her and she got this or whatever. You would turn towards her. You were serving her. Thank you, Holy Spirit. You were serving her in that atmosphere. And I said, because I'm always I'm watching stuff. Sure. I'm always watching. I'm watching to see how you stand next to her, how you walk, if she introduce you to somebody, how you stand, how you shaking hands, how you, and you just like it don't even, like, you were so unfazed, unbothered, like, hey, shine, baby, shine.
And I didn't know, I didn't really know that.
What the level of that?
Or was she, because we had a conversation prior some time ago. Mm-hmm. She was like, I would love for you to come to Dare to Worship. This was, but I didn't even really know what that was. What I'm saying? Yeah. Like, but to see it, I was proud. Like, I ain't had nothing to do with it. Yeah. But I was proud. I was like, this dope. Like, I would buy the ticket. Exactly. Right? If I didn't know you, I would support you. Yeah. Period. But just to be there and I think, sir, I was just doing it. Like, this not to make me a stellar dude. If you love, and you're in a different headspace, after you come out of something, you don't know a lot of what you want, but you know a lot of what you don't want, right? And I knew in the space of my life what I didn't want to deal with anymore, what I didn't want, but I knew a lot of that involved what I was willing to, my input. Yeah. So for me, I was like, to see her getting ready, I was taking video pictures. I was like, you need this for later. Yes. She had a little call. I was like, hey, make sure you pop. He was doing so much.
But I appreciated that, because someone like me, because he has a platform of his own, and I will completely lose myself. I'll put myself on the back burner
to serve him.
Just to serve him. I can do it easily. Yes. And so it was really nice.
See, that's what I'm talking about, that part, because I watched you. Go ahead, talk.
He just caught the Holy Ghost.
Because I'm trying not to get him. I'm telling you, I saw so much. I see so much in those moments. Like I see what y'all don't say. You know, I literally see it. And so, because I'm telling you, I was videotaping the process, and I'm just looking at y'all. I was like, God, that's beautiful. Like, it's like I could see like this glow. I took a picture of Kelli worship. Y'all both was worshiping in this photo. And I was like, that's what it's about right there. Like, that's what it's about. Y'all were both worshiping, eyes closed. I took a photo and I said, that's what it's about. And what I mean by that is the fact that y'all are serving, I always say purpose partners. I don't want a wife. I can find wives at any corner. I can just, hey, you want a wife? Hey, just say I do. I want a purpose partner. A purpose partner is someone that walks alongside of you. They have purpose in them. You have purpose in you, but y'all purpose somehow come together to fulfill a bigger purpose. And that's what I saw in y'all. And physically, this is what happened. She does this big, amazing concert. Ty Tribbett turning it up. Everything's amazing. Dope. The concert is over. God moves on your heart. You go up to the stage. God begins to speak through you to bring about healing in the lives of people that were there. And you begin to start praying for this one lady at first. And then you begin to pray for this young girl who couldn't hear and hadn't heard. And what was the issue? It was a long time. She had a little hearing aid.
I only knew one, and she was the only one left there that night. Yeah. That was pretty crazy. And I didn't want to do it. I was trying to get out of it the whole time. She was like, you want? I was like, no, babe, why somebody else can't do this? I was like, it's all these people. I was like, just let Ty end it. Yeah. We was in the back arguing. Like, I was like, let him end it. And for me, I was just like, I just want to be here for you. You know what I mean? And then that happened, and I don't know. I was honored to be a part of it.
When I saw that and I had my camera and God told me I was disobedient. God said, I want you to go stand behind her, lay hands on her, and you pray for her. I said, nah, I'm a videotape right now. I can pray from right here. I said, God kept saying, go pray for her. I said, nah, I'm good. I'm just going to record from right here. I'm good. Because back early in my ministry, I would go and lay hands on folks and do all of that and watch God perform miracles. But I was like, nah, I just want to watch this moment. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I just want to watch it. And it was so beautiful because I was getting such a value in the fact that she had just did the concert and you had went to the back, didn't you? I did. Yeah, she was gone. And then you were just right there. And I was like, we can do this all night. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this is such a beautiful moment. But in that moment is when I saw how y'all's purpose aligned. And it was like, that's what it's about. Because we always see the other part. We always see the woman supporting the man. And it was so powerful for me to see him serving you. And it was a beautiful thing. So, I see it. What made you and how did you transition from that date? What date was that? That was in May to what?
14?
Yeah, May 14th-ish.
Yeah.
From May until the day you proposed to her. What day did you propose to her?
July 3rd.
July 3rd.
Do the 4th. Yeah. Whack.
You said you gonna do the 4th?
Yeah, I was like, no.
So the July the 3rd, what made you decide, Isiah, to say, you know what, I'm finna put a ring on
it? Everything we talked about. Like, I was talking, because I wanted to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know where we were. I think we were somewhere. And we were in Florida somewhere. Panama City. Yeah. And initially, just to be 100, I was like, because we set a date for 2022, right? So, and one of my homeboys, he was like, why are you waiting? And he just asked me the question. He's like, you don't have to answer it. Hung up the phone with him, and I just said, why you waiting? And in my mind, I reconciled that it was for people. Because people say, well, maybe he not ready yet. Or maybe it's not been long enough. So I'm like, well, maybe 2022 will be long enough for them to be okay with something that I already wanted to do. But then in me, I felt like God was like, that's not the reason. So like, soon as I got that, I said, come here.
He was like, Kel, can I talk to you a minute? I'm like, don't talk to me.
He's like, I talk to you.
I was okay. Yeah, and we rapped, and I was like, look, I don't want to wait. I said, because I'm not waiting for the right reason. I'm like, everything we want is in it. We have it. So for me to prolong it would just be ridiculous. So she didn't know when I was going to do it. And on July 3rd, everybody else knew about her.
Yeah, he did talk to my parents. He talked to my daughter.
Yes.
As well. Yeah. And so everybody knew except me.
I talked to him. I was hoping he was going to do it this one particular week. We're trying to work it out. I was all involved.
Whatever you got to do. I said, I got to talk to her mama and dad.
I said, go talk to her. And then right after you get fit, talk to her. Let's go.
So what you want him to propose on the podcast?
I want you to do a podcast and propose to you.
I said,
yeah.
I don't know if she's gonna like that. I told her.
I did want something private.
I said, that ain't private. Gonna be 100,000 people. I said, tell her, I don't think she gonna like it.
I don't know if that's a good.
I said, well, I don't know. Just figure it out. We'll be somewhere else. Wherever it is, I record it. Just tell me when you gonna do it. He said, I'm trying to do this. I got to get this ring. I'm trying to do this. Well, just figure it out. Just let me know. Next thing you know, you posted something. I was like, you didn't even tell me what I'm gonna do. I was halfway happy, halfway salty. I was like, that's messed up. He gonna tell me before he did it, but then gonna tell me when he did it. I said, boy, you can't trust nobody. You can't trust nobody. But let me tell you something, I was so happy for you and you just glowing. That's another thing. What was so important is how your kids get along.
Yeah.
Why was that important for y'all?
We both we don't believe in step anything. And we're very family oriented. And so for us, even before introducing the kids, we were trying to figure out how, when, and all that stuff. But it happened very organically. And the girls, they talk on the phone.
My daughter, she's 18.
Yeah. His daughter's 18 and my daughter's 11. But she's not a normal 11-year-old.
She
they
grown.
think they grown.
Yeah.
11 going on.
Going on 19.
So that's what, so she loves the big sister element and things like that. And so, but we used to laugh about it. How did this really just happen?
Yeah,
they were on FaceTime one time.
It was organic, yeah.
Yeah, and the girls, London came in my room and she just laid in the bed with me and I was already on FaceTime with him. And so then his daughter came, I think he was on the couch or something. And so at that point, we all were just having a conversation. And I don't know how they exchanged numbers. I don't even remember how that happened. It just happened. And so
is that scary though? Is it scary that y'all not engaged at this point? Y'all just falling in love with each other. And then now y'all about to merge these sisters together and y'all haven't defined what y'all are as far as husband and wife yet or been engaged. Was that very and I don't even know if it was defined as boy. I don't even remember calling each other boyfriend.
I'm from St. Louis, so I'm gonna let my vernacular. That mug was horrifying. Because you gotta think of everything was
going fast.
I came to Dallas in October. Shot the content. Met her for the first time. November, I'm at her parents' house for Thanksgiving.
Sure was, because that's when he came
Now, y'all got to help with this.
Yeah.
When you take somebody to your parents' house for Thanksgiving, that says this is important.
It sure is. That's what happened.
I said, Kel, you sure you want to come to Thanksgiving? She was like, boy, nobody care about that.
It was a pandemic. I'm like, family's not
Thanksgiving is important. I said, it's going to be your mama, your daddy, your sister, and your cousin, and me. And your dad, what am I supposed to say? She was like, boy, it ain't no big deal. I said, Kel, maybe I'll come the day after.
Yeah.
She was like, no. So we got into it a little bit about it. So I get on the plane. Unbeknownst to me, when I get off the plane, she tells me,
maybe
this is too soon. I said, you could have told me that a long time. So I get to Thanksgiving, man. Listen, we in the circle. Her mama, her daddy, her sister. Everybody saying they think before each other. I'm like, I don't even know these people. What am I about this? But it just, everything happened so. And my first time coming to Dallas, though, to rewind, I said I wasn't going to meet your daughter.
Yeah.
We're not going to meet parents.
Yeah.
None of that. My first time here. Her daughter was at her mom's. Everybody was there. Kelli picked me up. Her mom called and said, the dog ran out of pee pads. I said, well, okay, what does this mean for me? So we went to PetSmart. We got feet pain.
Yes, we did.
But as we were driving, she was like, I just want to tell you that my daughter's at my mom's.
Oh, God.
The whole family's at my mom's.
We pull up in the driveway. I said, I'm going to
sit in the car. Yeah, that's the move.
She said, you can't sit in the car. My mama, she's not going to like it. She going to... I said, she not going to like what? She don't even know me. I get in the house, everybody. I met the daughter, the dog, the mama,
my dad,
everybody.
Everybody.
Ain't
so yeah, everything
normal.
happened extremely fast, but it would freak us out sometimes. Like, did this really happen? But you know.
So from the day you met her face to face and the day you proposed was a little over 6 months.
Is that right?
Yeah, about 8-9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it'll be a year. When we get married, it'll be a year. Yeah.
A year from the day that y'all set eyes on each other.
Almost a year to date.
Yeah, you know, it don't take grown folk long to know.
I say that all the time.
Really,
grown, what you doing?
That's what I say that all the time.
If you 6 years...
Sir.
40 years old, talking about it's going to take me 6 years to decide whether or not you're my wife.
You know, especially when you've been married before and when you're a certain age, I just think you know. And we talk about this all the time. If I could do it all over, I probably wouldn't have gotten married until my 30s.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know, let's take that pressure off. I tell my sister all the time, like, enjoy your life, live, you know, but sometimes I think it's just extra pressure. But yeah, things happen extremely fast. We weren't necessarily looking for that, but that was just the pace that it was going. And, I think it was like 30 days in, and I'm like, love you. I love you. I don't know what's going on.
I said,
I don't know what's going on here.
I looked at my phone. What I do? I called you. I said, you mean to send that to me? Scared me to death.
We say, you mean to send that to me?
Scared me, man. But I
love you as a person. With the love of Jesus.
Right. It scared me, but at the same time, it just felt
natural.
Yeah.
Felt good.
Because I think a lot of times we fight what feels right because we don't feel either it's too early and we get that weird tension.
We put these time limits on stuff that don't mean
timelines,
and think about it. God said his ways are not our ways, nor his time, you know, our time. So it's like we go into this human ideology saying that when you meet the person that you're supposed to be with, it should be like a Kairos moment that you have where you like, whoa, Lord Jesus, I'm in my before place. What is where did you come from? Instead of saying, all right, we're going to wait about 2 years because, you know, the people, you know, I just got a divorce about this. And they say, it's in a book that says you got to wait at least 365 days times 4 in order to get a divorce. Well, before you move on from a divorce. And I just don't want, like, you just be making up these old crazy rules that don't mean absolutely nothing.
And I think church people, go ahead, boo.
I was just going to say, well, we didn't find this out until later on, but so the first day that I met you, he met my family. And so when my
still sound great.
Shut up. So when he talked to my parents about, you know, marrying me, my mom shared with him that the Lord has showed her she had a dream the same night that they met. And so she had been knowing this whole time, never said anything to me about it, but the Lord had already revealed it to her the very first day. And so I didn't know, but I knew that this was different. I used to call my mom all the time crying. She's like, what you crying for? I'm like, I don't know. Like, it just feels different. So I didn't know. I couldn't define it to say, oh, this is my husband. But I recognized very early on that this wasn't
something normal.
Yeah, this was a different
This was something different. This is something different.
People a lot of times too, whether you're a Christian or not, if you've been waiting on something long enough, you're going to start praying to God. No matter
if you believe
you're a non-believer or a believer. Lord, if you up there, help me bring this. And I think the problem with the Christian, you've been praying for 6 years for a mate, but then when you get what you pray for, you want to run it through this 1,000-thing test and 10 confirmations. And by the time it's gone. And you like, Lord, when you going to send me? I just sent it. You done ran it off. You done ran it off because I think when you finally, it scares people.
It scares you.
It is scary.
It's scary. You've been waiting all this time.
And then it comes.
And here is what you've been praying for. Now you question God, is this what I've been?
There it is.
You know, so. Yeah.
When is this date? When y'all get married?
October 30th.
October 30th. Oh, man, that's amazing.
Yeah, in Florida.
I'm going to tell you something that you did for me that you didn't realize. I said, Kelly, why are you? I said, you dating somebody that's long distance, and you talking about you gonna move out there to Florida and whatever. I said, what are you thinking? Like, why would you do that? You was like, well, if it don't work out, I can always move back. You know, you said, we just dating. If it don't work out, you said, but I want to see what it's like dating while we live in the same city. And I was like, hey, that makes a lot of sense. You know, because in my shallow thinking, I have been blocked by saying I can't date long distance. I'm not willing to do that. Yeah. And everybody that's on my podcast is adding a wrinkle in my brain. Conversations that I have with my friends is adding a wrinkle in my brain. Sure. And so the wrinkle that you added was giving me perspective and a reference to open up my mind to say, stop with this absolute thinking of saying, oh, I can't date nobody long distance. God be like, oh, but your wife was really, they're not right here right now. They're in a whole nother state. Well, they ain't my wife. Now the wife you gonna bring me, and God be like, but you didn't know that I was gonna move them there on this date. And if I just need you to go do X, Y, Z. Yeah. And so thank you for adding perspective to that, because you made me feel real immature with that ideology. For real, you said all I have to do is just move back. I said, oh yeah, just because you move somewhere don't mean you can't move back. You know what I'm saying? I was like,
but I was opposed to it too. I told him, like, I don't do long distance. Like, I just, because quality time, you know, is my love language. I'm like, how we gonna spend quality time and you somewhere else? Yeah. But I didn't really reckon quality time wasn't necessarily you being next to me all the time, even though physical touch is one of mine too. But the time, just even over FaceTime, like the conversation, literally we would talk.
I'm talking about rotary phone with the cord, feet kicking. I'm on the bed like, man, tell me all about your life.
Literally, that's how it was.
And see, dating nowadays is totally different from way back when, is that you actually have FaceTime. You can see the person. I don't know how people did it back then, where you just talking on the phone or writing letters and all that stuff. And I don't see how they did it, but yeah.
Or hop on a plane. I mean, we did spend a lot of money, but you know, he would always say it's an investment. You know, it's an investment in us. And so, but we did what we had to do.
Which made it even more important that time span was short. Sure. Instead of just sitting up there, we've been doing this for 3-4 years.
Oh, there's no way.
Y'all get tired. Y'all be like, be like, we flying for 3-4 years back and forth. Like, y'all might as well go buy an airline. Because that's just, it's like crazy. Well, let me tell y'all something. I really enjoyed y'all on the podcast. Y'all have been amazing. Thank y'all for adding reference. Thank you for giving me perspective. Thank you for allowing me to see what love looks like. Thank you for allowing me to see what intentional dating looks like and what it looks like to have a purpose partner. And I'm proud of y'all. I love the way y'all love each other. I love that y'all are competing with who can love each other the most. And I speak blessings over your marriage. I speak great exploits. I speak that God is going to do something so amazing through the work of your hands. Like what y'all have been able to do individually can't even touch what God's about to do with y'all collectively. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. The Bible says that one can chase away 1,000, but two can set 10,000 demons to flight. So just think about the 10 times what's going to happen with y'all. It's going to be absolutely dope. Can't wait to see it. October the 30th. And it's amazing. So thank y'all for being on the Dear Future Wifey podcast.
You know what? I really enjoy when I get a chance to talk to my friends on the podcast. A lot of y'all may not know, but I have a lot of my friends that come on the podcast because watching their journeys really touch me and provide a reference for me as I manifest my future wifey. And Kelli, she's one of those people I said that really, really deserve to be loved and to have what she gives out reciprocated. And like I said, Isiah is such a dope individual. And man, Isiah, don't hurt us. Please don't hurt us. Anyway, here's my favorite part of the podcast where I write a letter to my future wifey. Dear future wifey, I shot a wedding this past weekend. It's a great honor to be hired to document one of the most momentous occasions of a couple's love journey. My heart swells with sheer joy watching two lovebirds repeat vows to cement their agreement to stay together until death do them part. The interesting thing is, I was able to stay totally dialed in shooting the wedding without daydreaming about you until the couple performed a foot washing ceremony. I have never seen this take place in a wedding, and I filmed many ceremonies. I don't know what it was in this moment, but I got really emotional. The humility displayed in this act of love pulled my heartstrings. John 13:1 through verse 17 illustrates the power in this act with Jesus washing his disciples' feet. See, Peter told Jesus, "You shall never wash my feet." And Jesus responded, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." My love, we will wash each other's feet in our wedding ceremony. We will wash away the trails of our past. We will create a fresh path that only leads to each other in our times of despair. Our feet will be veiled with the preparation of peace as we put on the full armor of God to protect our marriage. I humbly submit myself to you, your future hubby. Thank you for listening to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving. Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.